It's the Scotty Myers Show.
Hey there, welcome to this week's edition of the show. I'm your host, Scotty Myers. Hopefully you are having a fantastic week so far. Wanted to give a couple of thank yous before we really get into this week's show. Thanks for the latest batch of reviews on iTunes. You throw us a 5-star review, it does help grow the show quite a bit, so thanks for those. And also, we've gone well over 1,000 streams, which is awesome. So again, thank you for that as well. So last week I mentioned that I was going to run the Walt Disney World Half Marathon coming up in January. And it's official. I registered yesterday. I was a little worried because I was very busy yesterday. Wasn't going to be anywhere where I would be able to sit down and actually register, but got in time because those things sell out. The Disney World runs, you got to be there as soon as they open, especially for the shorter ones like the 5K, the 10K. By the time I got to run the register for the half K, or for the half marathon, I mean. Half K would be awesome. Half marathon, it was the 5 and 10K sold out, gone. So looking forward to that. I've got a lot of training ahead of me, but we shall see how it goes. If it sounds a little different, I'm hoping it doesn't, but I'm not in my usual room. I've had to move the entire recording setup because we're doing a massive painting undertaking in the house right now, and non-stop rolling, basically, is what's going on. And I'm also high on paint fumes 24/7. But the room that I normally do it in, we just painted, pulled everything out of there, super echoey. So now I'm down in the living room. So hopefully it doesn't sound too messed up. But if it's a little difference, that's why. I didn't mess with anything, I swear. The big news story of the week, obviously, was in Paris, where the Notre Dame Cathedral caught fire and the legendary spire of it collapsed. The footage of that was just sad. And here's the thing. I am not, by any stretch of the imagination, a religious person. I don't buy into it. If that's your thing, great. Just don't take your belief system and force it onto me and expect me to live my life the way you've chosen to live your life. And that goes for the way anybody lives their lives. Just let everybody be. But the Notre Dame Cathedral, it kind of transcends religion. It's a massive monument, not only to the history of France, but it's just one of those sites in the world that, I mean, it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but it's just one of those places in the world that has surpassed its original meaning. And there's many of them around the world. I would argue that the Statue of Liberty surpassed its original meaning. Just, it's one of those places that people go. They according to the news reports, they say 13 million visitors a year go to check out the Notre Dame Cathedral. Now, thankfully, not everything inside was destroyed, and the two kind of pillars or towers were saved. And a massive outpouring has happened to get the cathedral rebuilt, and I understand that. I mean, it is, as we said, one of the big landmarks on the planet. And I mean, I think they will do a job of the cathedral. I think they will make it seem like nothing happened. But money has poured in from around the world. And again, I understand why. It's one of those sacred places. But it's the Catholic Church we're talking about. They got some pretty deep pockets. You know, talking about somebody that could do a home reno. It's the Catholic Church. They definitely could do it. But lots of famous people throwing money in, governments throwing money in. So the latest I heard, I was watching the news this morning, and the plan is to have the cathedral rebuilt and reopened to 100% in 5 years. Which, when you see the damage and some of the damage done to like the intricate woodwork and things like that, 5 years seems like a very, very short time frame to have that thing back up and running at 100%. So a lofty, lofty goal. We'll see if they can meet it. I wish them all the best. They definitely have the resources because there is a shit ton of money headed their way to get the cathedral back to 100%. I hope it does get back there, just for the people that have never gotten to see it. My wife, one of the first things she said was, well, now I'll never see that. I hope when it's rebuilt, I can take her to Paris and she can see it, because it obviously is something that she wants to see. So for all the people like my wife, I hope they do get it rebuilt and everybody can go and view it the way it was meant to be seen. Now, being the bit of the gym rat that I am and whatnot, I spend a lot of time researching and reading about supplements. And I take some supplements. I do. I take magnesium. It helps me sleep, helps me recover after tough workouts. I take that at night. I, of course, take fish oil, probiotics, protein shakes, pre-workouts, all those things, veggie greens. I take a lot of supplements to help optimize my nutrition. And people are always looking for things to help and to help, get that edge or to help just be healthier. And a few years ago, I saw bodybuilders were jumping on a craze of taking breast milk, thinking that because it was so full of the nutrients and minerals and building blocks for a young baby, that it would help them grow muscles faster. Now, I don't know if that's still a thing in the bodybuilding community, because if you've seen my body, I am definitely not in the bodybuilding community. I'm more in the, kind of slum apartments community. I'm not building anything fantastic, but I'm trying to take the best care as I can of my rundown apartment. But it now seems like this breast milk thing could be the next big food craze. That's a lot of companies are betting that breast milk for adults is going to be a big thing. Now, they are not going to be hiring a bunch of, moms and getting them on a milking line like they did with cows. So that's not what's going to happen. There's not going to be suddenly like going to check into work and then a lady goes in and hooks up her boobies to a couple of pumping machines. That's not what's going to happen. Apparently, they can do it synthetically. So they're going to make breast milk for adults with a synthetic form of HMO, human milk, and a word I can't pronounce. Olgextricide, we'll call it. It's great for babies because it helps fight infections and inflammation, helps brain development, and it gets good bacteria to the colon. And the synthetic version does the exact same thing. So as adults, it would help with things like allergies, irritable bowel syndrome, and even keeping our brains young, which is key. The brain is the key to everything. So they're going to start making fake breast milk targeted at adults. No word yet on when it is going to come out, but there are some major companies in this, like Dow DuPont. They're estimating it could become $1 billion market. So expect to see adult breast milk on the store shelves sooner rather than later, and expect creepy guys to be drinking it when they can't get dates. As we roll into Easter weekend, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the holiday of Easter. When I was a kid, it was not that big a deal. Like, yeah, maybe you got some new clothes and then you got some candy, and my mom hated giving me candy, like absolutely detested it. So for me, I never got candy at Easter. I was kind of left out. My friends would be going, I got all this great candy. It was like mini Halloween. And I would get like a book and a new pair of pants. Yay, Easter. So needless to say, I did not look forward to it with any anticipation whatsoever. But the holiday has morphed now. Over the last few years, I don't know if you have noticed on your social media feeds, but parents have gone fucking ballistic when it comes to Easter. They really overdo it now. It's become, from mini Halloween, it has now become mini Christmas, where kids are getting, the clothes are still there, which is funny. I don't know how like clothes became a thing with Easter, but it always was in my family, and I notice it's still there. Kids get like a new outfit. But also now kids are getting bikes and video games and toys and candy. So it has become a mini Christmas, which puts a lot of pressure on parents because that shit ain't cheap. But on top of that, now it's become we got to keep up with the Joneses and make sure our kids get good gifts at Easter. But I think if we're going to make it mini Christmas, we might as well just go all out and have songs, right? Part of the great thing about Christmas carols. So if we're going to make Easter mini Christmas, we need Easter carols.
From Egg Records, this CD has all the hits to play during the Easter season. Get in the giving mood with the 4 days of Easter.
On the 4th day of Easter, a bunny left for me 4 chocolate eggs, 3 new shirts, 2 video games, and a shiny new 10-speed bike.
Yes, they're all here. Great Easter carols like Randy the Red-Tailed Rabbit, I'm Dreaming of a Green Easter, I Saw Mummy Petting the Easter Bunny, and of course, Easter Wonderland.
The eggs are hid, can you find them? Picking carrots by the stem. Bunny's on the way, he don't need a sleigh. Hopping in an Easter Wonderland.
Yes, the hits keep coming. Classic Easter songs such as Easter Egg Rock, Grandma Got Run Over by a Bunny, Deck the Halls with Carrots. Yes, it's the soundtrack to your Easter egg hunt. Easter Carols Volume 7. Free shipping as quick as a bunny. Order now.
On to the Geek News of the week. Not a massive week in Geek News, and I think that's because of what is coming. We're not that far away from a pretty big movie. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Most of the Geek News this week dominated by Disney and Star Wars. Now, last week I said the rumor was that Disney Plus, the new Disney streaming service, would be launching in November. Disney has confirmed that. November 12th is in fact the launch date. Now, as of right now, that's only in the US. We don't have a date for Canada or the rest of the world, but hopefully we get that information soon because the streaming service looks amazing. They're going to have that fantastic Disney movie library on there, great Disney TV shows, and of course, new shows that they are producing. And this is where we'll kind of segue into some of the Star Wars news. Star Wars Celebration just happened last weekend in Chicago, and we got a ton of news out of that. Speaking of the Disney Plus service, we got our first little look at The Mandalorian, TV show directed and produced by Jon Favreau and set in the time period between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. So kind of a time that hasn't been too explored yet in the Star Wars mythos. So it starts 5 years after Return of the Jedi. We don't know when it will end, obviously, but it could be interesting. We could start to see how the First Order starts to come about or their rise to power, as well as just seeing what a galaxy in turmoil would be. If you think about it, and, there's this overpowering government running everything, and then it's just toppled and destroyed, that's going to lead to a lot of turmoil, and I think it's going to make for a very interesting show to watch. The first episode will be available November 12th when Disney Plus launches, so it better be available in Canada and other parts of the world, or I'm going to lose my shit. Now, speaking of losing my shit, that's exactly what happened when I saw the Star Wars Episode 9 trailer. That thing is fucking amazing. To say it's amazing is an understatement to how badass that trailer was. Now, the trailers for The Last Jedi were great too, so this does not mean that Episode 9 is going to be amazing. But that first trailer, holy shitcakes. That thing was mind-blowing from beginning to end. The opening sequence, which I'm sure you've watched it now, and if you haven't, what the fuck are you doing? Go watch the Star Wars trailer. But the opening shot of Rey just standing in a desert, and then as that builds to her taking on an oncoming fighter starship, and then everything in between, just the cool shots, the locations, the piece of the crashed Death Star. What does that mean? And then Luke's voiceover in it, which was amazing. And then you get the laugh at the end. The laugh of Emperor Palpatine. He is returning in some way, shape, or form. And this really brings... I saw some people going, well, why would you bring Palpatine back? What purpose does he have? But when you think that this is the Skywalker story, right? And the title of Episode 9 we'll get to in a second. But This is the Skywalker story. And it started with Anakin being swayed to the dark side because Palpatine promising him, I can cheat death. I can make it so you can save the ones you love from death. His laugh, maybe Palpatine has that power and never shared it with Anakin because that's how the Sith roll, right? You only teach them about 90% of what you know. So it's an interesting thing to see Palpatine come back. Now, the title of Episode 9 has led to much speculation on the internet. It's Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker. Now, the first things that people jump to is Rey. Does this mean that Rey is a Skywalker? Is she Luke's son somehow? Is she maybe Leia and Han's daughter that they sent away because Kylo went bad, so she has Skywalker blood in her? Does Kylo kind of turn back to being a Jedi and embrace his Skywalker side, as it were? These are all the things that people are speculating about. I have a couple of theories of my own. Not saying any of those aren't possible, but a couple that came through me. One was listening to the voiceover in the trailer. Luke is saying, thousands of years of knowledge now lives in you. And it's obviously, it appears to be a reference to Rey, the way it's cut together. And I was thinking, what if Luke was the last Jedi? And that going forward, everything that Rey teaches to people, what if they don't call themselves Jedi anymore? What if they call themselves Skywalkers? It's just a thought. It's a weird one. The other one that I had just last night, because I've been thinking a lot about Episode 9, the other one that I had just last night was, what if Rise of Skywalker is a reference to Anakin? What if, the Emperor figured out how to cheat death, but so did Anakin, and he comes back? Maybe in full Vader getup, but good Vader. Another possibility. I'm just throwing these out there because I'm giddy with excitement over Episode 9. December cannot get here fast enough, and I can't believe I'm saying that when summer hasn't even arrived yet. That's how much I want to see this damn movie. If you have a theory on what you think Rise of Skywalker might mean, or your thoughts on the trailer, share them with us. Scotty Mars Show on Instagram and Facebook, and at Scotty Mars on Twitter. Couple of other little geek news notes that we will hit here. In DC news, they've been super quiet, but Birds of Prey has wrapped filming. Margot Robbie tweeted it out, also gave us our first look at the official logo of the movie, which really just has Birds of Prey and then the big subtitle written kind of in lipstick. But the Birds of Prey, the letters are kind of made up, the B looks like it's like a bat and stuff like that. It's kind of made up of the weaponry of Harley Quinn, Huntress, Black Canary, and that type of thing. Cool looking logo. Can't wait to see real footage of that movie, and especially Ewan McGregor as Black Mask. I think with every other character that's in that, we kind of forget. They've got this really great actor playing a very cool villain. And that, to me, might be the most exciting part of that movie. As much as I want to see Huntress and Black Canary on the big screen, Black Mask has always been one of my favorite Batman villains. So anxious to see his portrayal in Birds of Prey. So hopefully, now that the movie is wrapped, we get a trailer sooner rather than later. I would expect no later than San Diego Comic-Con later this summer. And we are 1 week away from Avengers Endgame, the movie that should change the Marvel Cinematic Universe forever going forward. It's going to be an interesting one. There are some spoilers already popping up online, I guess, from people that have seen some advanced screenings, and I would recommend you avoid those at all costs. I don't understand why people feel the need to spoil movies. In fact, Disney on their Instagram posted a picture of a letter from the directors, the Russo brothers, about spoiling the the film. It said, to the greatest fans in the world, this is it. This is the end of an unprecedented narrative mosaic spanning 11 years and 11 franchises. For all of you who have been with us on this journey since the very beginning, sharing every high and low with your family, your friends, your classmates, your coworkers, investing so deeply in every character and storyline, laughing, cheering, shedding tears, giving so freely of your thoughts and emotions in spirited dialogue, theories, fan art, and fan fiction, please know that the two of us, along with everyone involved in Endgame, have worked tirelessly for the last 3 years with the sole intention of delivering a surprising and emotionally powerful conclusion to the Infinity Saga. Because so many of you have invested your time, your hearts, and your souls into these stories, we're once again asking for your help. When you see Endgame in the coming weeks, please don't spoil it for others the same way you wouldn't want it spoiled for you. Remember, Thanos still demands your silence. As always, good luck and happy viewing The Russo Brothers. I couldn't agree more with this. I know it's going to be hard because there's going to be moments in this movie that you're going to want to talk about on social media. But if you are going to post things on it, give fair spoiler warning. That's the least you can do. You don't want to ruin this movie for others. And I have tickets for Thursday night, and as soon as the movie is done, I'll be posting a YouTube video review from my car in the parking lot, spoiler free, but I will give you my thoughts on Avengers Endgame on the YouTube channel, which you're not, if you haven't subscribed to that yet, something else for you to subscribe to. But luckily, all this shit is free. That'll do it for this week. Don't forget, again, to follow us on the social media, the YouTube channel, at Scotty Mars Show on Instagram, the Scotty Mars Show on Facebook, at Scotty Mars on Twitter. Any questions, comments, you can always get in touch with me there. And until we chat again, have a great week.